As we continue on our walk to get closer to God, today I find myself in Acts, looking at Acts 14:21 through 22. And when they had preached the gospel to that city and had taught many, they returned again to Lysteria and to Iconium and Antioch, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must through tribulation enter into the kingdom of God. So one of the things that I love about God is as you get to know him, as you get closer to him, as you spend time with him, as you get into his word, is you start to see the great storyteller that God is, right? The time that he's raising up the burning bush, the time that he's parting the seas, the time that he's even creating this great story of lineage that goes all the way through to Jesus Christ. And in that, I see this idea of encouragement. And as we read in Acts here, we see that part of that journey of connecting with others, of planting seeds, of bringing the message of God to people, is also returning for encouragement. And through God's storytelling is where I so often see encouragement pop up. And I was this week, someone was asking me about David, right? And I started talking about the story of David, talking about how the people didn't even have a king, right? And they had judges and they were doing just fine, but they wanted an earthly king. And so they asked of God to give them a king. They begged of him to give them a king. And God decided to do that and gave them Saul. And Saul did real well in the beginning, but then as he began to turn away from God and to sin from God, God decided that there should be a new king. And so even while Saul was sitting on the throne, God sent Samuel to Jesse, who had 8 sons, to go anoint the new king. And while the first 7 seemed like they'd all be great fits for the king, none of them were what the Lord wanted until Jesse remembered that his 8th little son was out watching the sheep. And when he came in, that was the son that God decided to make king. And so Samuel anointed David while there was still a king who was ruling. And then that king ended up getting like nightmares and bad dreams. And the one thing that could soothe him was the music of this young boy, because he knew a secret chord which pleased the Lord, right? And so that brought David to court to play for Saul. And in that one segment of story, as I was relaying it this week, it really hit me, the storyteller that God is, and the way that he brings us closer to us through our intimacy journey with him, through his stories and through his characters and through the people that are really all part of our family. And that's one more aspect of God, which is this creative, loving, compassionate Father who wants us to know about our family, about the stories of those who came before us. And when you think about that, think about how precious your own story is to him. So, just something to think about this Sunday. Chatting at Cheesman, chatting at Cheesman. Happy Sunday. Yeah.